Well, the Arrowhead developers finally dropped the new Illuminate update that introduces a new vehicle, obviously the new faction. They also buffed a few weapons and stratagems. We'll talk about what's the best weapon to use on the Illuminate. Not only that, there's also a new Helldivers 2 controller, and there's so much more I'll be going over in this video. If you'd like to support the channel, please hit the like button below by tapping the thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Let's start off with the patch notes. We received an 8GB update that introduces not only the Illuminate and a brand new vehicle. The Arrowhead developers also buffed weapons, stratagems, Helldivers, and even exploding barrels. For instance, you can see here on the first note, it mentions that the exploding barrels will now leave a trail of fire behind when detonated. Oh, and when it comes down to being lit on fire, you should expect a big difference now. You can see the second note says, thanks to Super Earth's latest military technical advancements, all Helldiver armor now come with a fire retardant coating. It now takes slightly longer for Helldivers to be set on fire. Yep, we have a higher fire resistance. It actually makes a big difference, especially when you're wearing an armor type that has the inflammable passive. I wasn't expecting us to receive a buff like that, but hey, I'm not complaining. With those two buffs aside, we're now going to go over the weapon buffs. There's only one primary that got an ergonomics buff from 25 to 50, and that's the SG-225 SP Breaker Spray and Pray. So you should notice it's slightly faster to aim down the sights now. They also buffed two sidearms. The P-15 Loyalist now has an increased magazine size from 2 to 3, and the max spare size is now 5, it was previously 4. Now the Bushwhacker on the other hand has a reload duration decrease from 3 to 2.5 seconds. It's now slightly faster to reload, and I like this buff a lot. Also, there are two throwable grenades that have been changed a little bit, such as the G4 gas grenade, which now has a stronger demolition force from 10 to a whopping 30 demolition force. The second grenade on the list is the G10 Incendiary grenade that now has an increased fire duration. Thankfully, it'll burn a lot longer, and that is going to make my fire type loadout a lot more useful. Moving along, we of course have 5 stratagem buffs, starting off with the RL-77 Airburst rocket launcher. There's a new programmable ammo for the rocket launcher. You can swap between flak projectiles and cluster. The developers specifically wrote this in the patch notes. New weapon function: in addition to the existing flak projectiles, players can now switch to cluster munition projectiles. Cluster projectiles detonate based on a timer, not a proximity trigger. Both modes deploy the same number of bombs, with the following differences. Flak projectiles and bombs work the same as before. Cluster munition bombs have a shorter arming time. Cluster munition bombs do not have detonation timers. Finally, we have a timer on the Airburst rocket launcher. I wasn't expecting this feature at all. It's way more useful now than it was months ago, and I love the fact they added programmable ammo to this support stratagem. I'm also happy to see that the Lift 850 jump pack has been changed quite a bit. You can now aim or stim with the jump pack while airborne, as you can tell in this clip right here. I've been waiting for this backpack change for quite some time, and this one is absolutely stellar. However, the developers have written a caution note that says, caution, the combination of flames and fast forward momentum in flight can have unexpectedly heated results. Aim responsibly. So you'll have to watch out when you're using the jump pack now. You might just light someone on fire. Speaking of fire, all sentries will now have a shorter burn duration. You can see the note right here that says, all sentries, it takes longer for them to be set on fire. They burn for a shorter duration, but still take damage from direct flamethrower weapons fire. It's going to be a lot more durable now and should prove to be quite useful on bot planets. So the turrets overall have been buffed to be a lot stronger, but at the same time, they can still take direct damage from the flamethrower as mentioned in the note. Lastly, the Emancipator and the Patriot Exosuit both have received a huge health buff. The exact stats can be seen here, and the developers wrote, both exosuits have been rebalanced to improve durability and extend combat effectiveness while preserving a sense of vulnerability as they now gradually break down from sustained damage. The intention is to improve the experience with exosuits by adding more gameplay depth. Main pool increased from 600 to 850, cockpit health pool increased from 450 to 500, cockpit armor increased from 2 to 3, armor health pool increased from 250 to 350, armor decreased from 3 to 2, leg health pool increased from 500 to 600, slightly less durable resistance against projectiles. Hell yeah, the exosuits are way more durable now and can take quite a punch. Previously, they weren't bad at all, but with this update, they're way better. Also, it's no longer possible to take the exosuit underneath the water, as it will now instantly eject you out of the seat, as you can see in this patch note here. Now, I will say that I wasn't expecting any of this today. I was anticipating a war bomb, but to know that we have a bunch of buffs and the Illuminate content is just even better. Now, not only did we receive weapons, stratagems, and grenade buffs, but we also have boosters that have been buffed as well. You can see right here it says, flexible reinforcement budget increased the bonus gained by the flexible reinforcement budget by 150%. Expert extraction pilot increased the bonus gained by the expert extraction pilot booster by 100%. Muscle enhancement increased the bonus gained by the muscle enhancement booster by 40%. And last but not least, motivational shock increased the bonus gained by the motivational shock booster by 100%. Awesome, so I was hoping there was going to be a buff for boosters, and when I saw these notes, boy did I get excited seeing that 4 boosters received a buff. The biggest one for me has got to be the motivational shock. Now, not only did the developers buff the boosters, but they also buffed one specific armor passive, the peak physique. You can see right here, they've increased the melee damage bonus by 100%. What I'd like to know is, what's your favorite buff so far in the patch notes? Is it the boosters, stratagems, weapons, or everything we've gone over? If you can, let me know in the comments below. With the buffs aside, there's a particular automaton that has been adjusted. The reinforced striders will now spawn less, since the developers stated in the notes that they have reduced the number of reinforced striders on higher difficulties. They've also increased the minimum rocket range. Nonetheless, the full note is right here, and it says, the reinforced scout strider will now stand in place before launching its rockets. Added a brief delay before rockets are launched. Improved rocket launch anticipation and readability with new thruster visual effects. The rockets on the side of the reinforced strider should now explode with more consistency when shot by players. Hell yeah, the Arrowhead developers have listened to the feedback and have made a few changes that are actually game changing. I think the rocket striders, or as they have called them, reinforced striders, are less annoying now, considering all these changes make a huge difference. Especially the fact that the rocket striders have to stop before they can shoot their rockets is just a big one. They no longer can run around and shoot, which is really nice to see. Oh, and also the Automaton barrager tank has been fixed. It no longer can function even when its body is destroyed. That right there was an annoying issue previously, but it's now officially patched. Since I mentioned game changing, they also made another game changing adjustment, so when you crash, you can actually join back to the same exact lobby, as you can see right here in the notes. So if you're vibing out with some members and you actually like the players you're with, and unexpectedly you just, disconnect, or maybe you crash or whatever, you should be able to connect back. I'm assuming that also works for disconnections. So far, we've talked about weapon buffs and automaton adjustments. What about ragdolling? Thankfully, the developers have made some significant changes to ragdolling. For instance, one of the notes mentions that when you're ragdolled, you will stay in a prone position instead of standing back up automatically. The rest of the notes can be seen here, and the developers wrote, excessive ragdolling can cause a feeling of helplessness and frustration. The Helldivers will now remain prone after ragdolling instead of automatically standing up. Fire status effects also now wear off faster when ragdolling. This will provide better protection and survivability in the prone position by reducing vulnerability to ranged attacks, explosions, fires, and additional ragdoll effects. It will also give players control of their avatar sooner, allowing them to decide whether to stand, run, crawl, use the stem, or take other actions without waiting for the avatar to stand automatically. We are continuing to monitor ragdolling issues and explore potential adjustments. We welcome your feedback on these changes and their impact on gameplay. Man, is it good to be a Helldiver, am I right? All these changes are big, and I've noticed in game that there's a noticeable difference between the ragdolling prior to the ragdolling now. The Arrowhead team has done a phenomenal job on adjusting issues in general, but I most certainly am happy to see the ragdolling adjustments fixed. On a similar note about fixes, they've also dropped a bunch of crash fixes and soft locks. I'm not going to go through all of it, but you can see it all right here. They've also done some social issue resolving some issues there. They've also done a few weapon and stratagem fixes, mission fixes, enemies, miscellaneous fixes. I mean, there's just a crap ton. Now, there's only a few known issue lists. For instance, the top priority list right here says Players are unable to emote when flying through the air. That, of course, is obviously still patched, so we cannot do that just yet, but I'm sure in the near future, or maybe in a hotfix, we'll be able to. But you can also see some of the other ones. So those right there are still the same. You know, they haven't changed much, but overall, just a solid patch. Alright, let's move along and talk about the limited edition Helldivers 2 controller. Yes, we've talked about this previously in another video. That, of course, was a leak, but now we actually have an idea of what it looks like, and you can see it right here. Now, doesn't that look sweet, right? It looks incredibly well done, but you guys might be wondering about the price, right? Like, what's the total price going to be? Well, let's check it out right here, because the developers wrote this in the blog post. The DualSense wireless controller Helldivers 2 Limited Edition will be available in limited quantities for $84.99, $84.99, $74.99. Pre-orders start on December 20th, 2024 at participating retailers with launch on February 6th, 2025. The exact launch date and availability for the controller may vary by country/region. So yes, you'll want to get to this as soon as possible if you're a big fan of Helldivers 2 and maybe you want a brand new controller. So this right here is a great opportunity to grab this limited edition. And excuse me if my voice is raspy, it's late at night, so I'm trying to get this all recorded for you guys. But yeah, that right there is amazing, and I can't wait to pick that up. I am debating on it. It is $84, so that's, you know, it's a steep price. But hey, who knows? Maybe I'll just cough up a few bucks or something. But yeah, there you go, guys. Okay, let's talk about the new vehicle because it's insane. You can actually fit 4 people in it, 5 in the back, I suppose, right? Because you can actually use the turret, and you do have to reload it, of course. But it's amazing, man. I love this so much. The vehicle's smooth, it's nice to roll around in, and it doesn't feel clunky, which is most important, right? Overall, just a solid vehicle. The Illuminate, on the other hand, are quite feisty, man. They're a little bit spicy out there, but for the most part, they're not too bad to tackle, right? They're not too bad to defeat and whatnot. However, there is 2 new missions. For example, you have to blow up the ships, and those require a lot of firepower. I suggest either using a 500 kg bomb, or you can use something a little bit different like an orbital strike. Either one will work. When it comes down to the towers that kind of mess up your stratagems, that I would highly suggest a 500 kg bomb. But you know what's even better than those 2 options? A mech. Using an exosuit is a way better idea. You can take out ships easily, as you can see right here, and you can just roll on through and just start blowing up everything. But if you're going to use rockets, I would highly suggest, you know, not doing that. At least in my opinion, from testing it out as of right now, I wouldn't even use a rocket. I would just use maybe an exosuit, you know, maybe a commando. Actually, take it back. Using a commando is not bad at all because 4 shots, that's all it takes to blow it up. But if you're going to use a recoilless rifle, it's going to take more than just 1 rocket. You're going to have to shoot at least, I think it's 2 to 3. So with that said, I would either use the exosuit like the Emancipator or the Patriot, and you can also use something like the Commando. It's just a better idea. And that's also the same when it comes down to blowing up towers and blowing up the ships and whatnot. But yeah, that's my recommendation. I think those are going to be some great choices. Also, the other mission where you have to destroy these tripods essentially, right? At least that's what I'm going to call them. It does require a little bit more to take them down. For instance, I had to use my eats and then I had to use a recoilless rifle afterwards. So it required 2 different rockets there, but you can also use just 2 recoilless rifles. Again, I suggest the same here. Use a commando. It's a great idea. You can shoot it fast and then, you know, it refreshes pretty quickly. What I'd like to know is, what are you using to take out the Illuminate? Are you using rocket launchers? Are you using exosuits? What are you using? Throw down a comment down below and let me know what you're using right now. With everything being said, this is your Helldivers 2 news. We're now going to check out the top 3 comments. If you guys would like to be featured, all you have to do is comment down below, and if you get enough upvotes, you might just be featured at the end. The first top comment is the Trout Hammer, a stealth war bomb with slap, spy-themed armor, and suppressed weapons. Now, spoiler alert here, guys. I'm pretty sure the next Warbond is not going to be stealth, unfortunately, but I do love that idea a lot. The second top comment is by Wolves PBC, a medic armor without the Christmas theme, finally. Yep, and you're talking about the armor recently. For some reason, I'm just brain dead right now. What is it? The Alpha Commander. Holy smokes, guys, I need some sleep. And last but not least, we have the gaming Prinny. It still baffles my mind that Sony chose Concorde over Helldivers 2, and look what happened. Concorde lost Sony millions. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. But somehow they found a way to, you know, be on the secret mission or secret level episodes. It's insane. It truly is. But anyways, thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. If you haven't already, give this video a like, subscribe, turn on notifications, all that good stuff. I stayed up pretty late for this one, and I'm gonna upload it late as well, so hopefully you do check it out, and if you don't, hopefully you'll check it out by tomorrow. Anyways, thank you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.